As the woman turned around, she was horrified to discover that tens of thousands of fish were rushing toward them from the sky. The woman was so frightened that she immediately turned and fled. But strangely, her companion didn't run when he saw it. Instead, he forcefully grabbed the woman and charged directly at the countless fish. Because he knew there was no way to escape, the only way to save them now was to immediately hide in the iron box in front of them, just as the man opened the iron box. He quickly helped the woman inside. Then, in the next second, the terrifying fish swarm rushed in, covering the entire iron box in an instant. Soon, the box began to show holes from the fish's gnawing. The horrifying scene terrified the woman, who screamed loudly. For 2 hours, the outside remained chaotic, until it slowly calmed down. When they opened the box again, the fish swarm, which had once been like a tidal wave, had completely disappeared without a trace. The two of them, having narrowly escaped death, let out a sigh of relief and exchanged happy glances. But they dared not delay any further and quickly continued their journey to find a way off the planet. However, they encountered even more terrifying monsters. As the woman was washing her body with water, the man behind her slowly started to undress.
The girl set out early in the morning to pick wild fruit alone. Just as she was returning home with a full load, she suddenly witnessed a scene that left her stunned. She saw a man attempting to steal her family's horse. Faced with this situation, the girl immediately grabbed the fruit in her hand and threw it at him. The man was hit in the head and fell off the horse.
Thief! This will teach you to steal my father's horse!
Please, my owner slipped his shoe and I have no choice!
The girl didn't listen to his explanation and continued to throw fruit at him until the man revealed his true identity.
Forgive me, Your Highness, I did not see you.
Your aim would suggest otherwise.
The girl realized she had made a huge mistake, so she quickly kneeled and apologized repeatedly. However, to her surprise, the prince didn't scold her. Instead, he gave her several gold coins and told her not to tell anyone. Seeing that the man wasn't angry, the girl finally breathed a sigh of relief. But little did she know, this unexpected encounter would completely change her life. The girl's name was Annie, a noblewoman by birth. But after her father tragically died while traveling, her wicked stepmother took over the household. For over 10 years, though Annie's noble title remained, her life was no different from that of the servants in her household. After receiving the gold coins, Annie didn't keep them for herself, but found a maid who had always been kind to her. The maid's husband had been sold to the royal palace for his mistakes. Annie decided to use the gold to buy his freedom. Meanwhile, the prince was stopped by the royal guards. It turned out he had secretly escaped to avoid an arranged marriage. The captain of the guards was ordered to bring him back to the palace. However, as they arrived at the palace gates, they saw a dispute unfolding ahead. It turned out that Annie was using the gold to buy a man's freedom.
Jimmy just touched the black button on the ring. Time went back 57 seconds. A bold idea came to him. The next day, he went to his boss's secretary's office and pulled out his pistol.
Give me the combination.
The time went back 57 seconds. This time Jimmy was going to do it differently. He rushed into the office, pulled out his gun and told the woman to shut up. In the heat of the moment, Jimmy slaps his hand into the box with the nails. As he tried to pull out the nail, the gun went off. The third time he entered the office, he puts his hand over the woman's mouth and forces her to write down the combination to the safe. Jimmy touches the ring as soon as he learns the combination. The fourth time he entered the office, instead of attacking the woman, Jimmy walks straight to the safe. He tries to enter the combination, but it's wrong several times. It was obvious that the woman was lying. Jimmy was furious. He took out his gun and forced her to tell him the combination. After going back in time 5 times, he finally opened the safe, but he didn't take the money. He only did it to get the combination to the safe, because it was too dangerous to do it in daylight. It was only after the woman left that Jimmy actually took the money. He thought he had it all under control. He didn't realize that the ring was just the beginning of his troubles. He actually found the ring about a month ago. At first, Jimmy didn't realize it was an artifact until he accidentally touched a button on the ring.
The man suddenly noticed something strange. Every once in a while a woman on a bicycle would pass by at the intersection, followed by a man with flowers in his hand and finally a yellow car. The wife couldn't believe it, but that's when it happened.
Lady? Flowers! And...
Truman, this is silly.
There it is! There it is! There's the dented beetle! Yes! Woo!
Truman told his wife that he was only able to find out because they kept going around and around and around in circles every day. But what's even more outrageous is that Truman immediately started the car and drove in the direction of the island. But the next moment the empty intersection was blocked, so Truman can only back up and keep circling around so they don't know where they are going. When Truman drove to the same road again, but found that the congestion of the intersection has returned to calm, Truman realized that someone must be watching his every move. So he drove more firmly towards the island. But as he drives, something outrageous happens. Not only is there a fire alarm up ahead, but there's also a ball of flames on the road. But this little trick had no effect on Truman, and he bravely drove on. But it wasn't long before a siren sounded up ahead and the road was blocked off, and a police officer told him that there was a leak at the nuclear power plant up ahead and to evacuate. At first, Truman thought it was true, But he didn't expect the strange officer to immediately reveal his flaws. He unthinkingly said, "Thank you, Truman." But it was clearly the first time the two had met. At this point, Truman finally realized that everything in front of him was a lie and their real purpose was to trap him on this island forever. So Truman recklessly rushed into the forest in an attempt to escape. But he was always outmatched and was finally caught by a staff member wearing a protective suit. Truman is devastated by his failure to escape. But then his wife goes on the air like she's on a commercial.
Why don't you let me fix you some of this new Mococo drink? All natural cocoa beans from the upper slopes of Mount Nicaragua, no artificial sweeteners.
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
I've tasted other cocos. This is the best.
Hell, what does this have to do?
Truman's wife's answers to the questions he was asking made him break down, and he saw Truman closing in on her, and she grabbed a knife from the table to defend herself. But Truman was able to control her with ease. At this point, the frightened wife no longer cared to hide her identity. Every night, the man would head out with a bag of nails, and in the quiet of the night, he'd scatter them across the road. Worried that the nails might be flung aside by passing dirt trucks, he took extra care to modify the nails to ensure they would stick. The reason for his actions was simple. He and his wife ran a small auto repair shop by the roadside, and by spreading nails, he ensured that business kept flowing into the shop. But his wife had always felt uneasy about this. She knew that punctured tires could lead to accidents and possibly fatalities. Yet, as business at the shop boomed, she gradually accepted her husband's actions, even starting to help him with the operation. Despite the moral misgivings, they were both drawn into the dream of a better future. One day, a female construction site owner drove by and had her tire punctured. She came to the shop for repairs, but the man refused to fix her tire. He knew that this woman ran the construction site, and if it weren't for the dirt trucks, which pushed his nails to the side of the road, his shop's business could have been much better. The woman, not willing to leave, demanded a price of 20,000 yuan for the repair. Thinking the woman would refuse, the man was stunned when she casually agreed, paying the outrageous price without hesitation. He reluctantly repaired her tire, and while she waited, she noticed the wife working on handmade dolls. Curious, the woman asked how much a doll would cost. When told it was just 1 yuan, the woman, feeling a sudden surge of sympathy, bought one for 100 yuan. The wife, now holding the 100 yuan, suddenly felt inferior, swearing that one day, she would earn a lot of money. At the time of payment, the woman insisted on paying in cash, and when she opened the trunk of her car, she pulled out 30,000 yuan, handing it to the man. Seeing the woman's arrogance, the couple almost considered fixing her tire again. After this event, something changed in the wife. She became more uncontrollable, suggesting that her husband add more nails to the road to increase the chances of a puncture. That night, they set out together again, but the next day, instead of business booming, the man found himself at the police station. Thinking his nail scheme had been uncovered, he trembled with fear. But when the police showed him a photograph, he breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out that the construction site owner's daughter had gone missing, and she suspected the man due to the money he had extorted from her. After an investigation, the police found no evidence against him, so they released him. Though he was free to go, the police still felt something was off, so they asked an old villager named Wang to keep an eye on him. That very night, Wang, hidden in the shadows, witnessed something suspicious.